Hi everyone. I've recorded this video for those who asked me to show how I made this applique with a mandala for my t-shirt. In my Facebook group, I'll share a link for this project and you can use it as is, resize it, or use it as a starting point to create your own. As always, you can find a link to my Facebook group in the description right under this video. The first thing you want to do in Design Space is put a t-shirt template on your screen. You can go to Templates on the top left of your toolbar and search there for a t-shirt that resembles the one you're going to use. In my case, I wanted to find a t-shirt that I could resize by typing in the size. I didn't want to use a blank template that was small, medium, or large. I wanted to use one that I could use the exact measurements. I also wanted to make it black so that I could see what it would look like with a white mandala on it. So I went to Images and typed t-shirt. I found a red one, this one, and I just changed the color to black. So this is where I started. The next thing I'm going to do, or the next thing you should do, is measure your t-shirt. You want to measure the dimension from the underarm to the bottom. Mine is 15.5. And you want to measure across the bottom of your t-shirt. Mine is 20 inches wide. Once I've done that, I measured on the t-shirt itself from the underarm to the bottom for the size of the mandala applique I want to do. I want to start it a few inches below the underarm because I'm using Cricut Everyday Iron-On. I don't want the iron-on to have a lot of friction under the arm and perhaps start lifting, so I'm going to start it about 3 inches down from the underarm and across the bottom. So let's line this up approximately how it will fit on the t-shirt. So on this bottom measurement of 20 inches, I marked it at 10 inches so I would know where the halfway point was on the t-shirt. The maximum width you can use if you're using Everyday Iron-On or infusible ink, the maximum width you can use is 11.5 inches. So I've made this bottom 11 inches. It will be away from the side seam and it will be a couple of inches over the halfway mark at the bottom of the t-shirt. That being said, you can make it any height that you want, but as I mentioned, I want it to be about 3 inches down from the underarm, so I'm going to make it 12.5 high. 12.5 by 11 is the dimension that I'm going to use. You also want to take into consideration the size of your press. If you only have a 9x9 press and you're planning to use infusible ink, you won't want to do it in several presses because each time you press, you will fade the ink that you pressed before. You want to do infusible ink in one press. So you want to consider that when you're cutting, or when you're sizing, I should say. Also, infusible ink sheets are 12 by 12. So the maximum you can make that applique will be 11.5 by 11.5. Iron-on, I can do up to 11.5 wide and up to 24 inches long, or 23.5 if I'm using Cricut Everyday Iron-On, and that's what I'm going to be using. So these are the things I wanted to show you as we get started. I'm going to select all and group them, and I'm going to hide this on my layers panel and start from fresh. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Images and I'm going to search for mandalas. You can see that there are a lot in Design Space to choose from. It really depends how detailed you want your mandala to be and how much weeding you want to do to achieve the look. There are really a lot of super pretty ones. I know the reference number for the one that I want to use, so I'm just going to type it in, M4A99E 9D. There it is. I'm going to add it to my canvas. I know the maximum width I can cut everyday iron on is 11.5, so I'm going to double that number. I'm going to make it 23 inches. Now I'm going to Shapes, and I'm going to get a plain square. We'll bring it up to size. I'm going to make it 24 inches so that it covers well the entire mandala, and place it halfway over it. That looks perfect. We'll select both together and slice. Take away these layers we don't need. We'll delete that. There we go. We have two halves. I'm going to set this one aside. I won't delete it yet. Just in case I need it, I'll keep it aside. We're going to take the shapes again, get a square again, and we're going to place it halfway up so that we get a quarter of that mandala, and slice again. We'll take away the quarter that we want, just set that aside. I don't need this layer, I'm going to delete it. I'm going to save these while I work on this one, just in case I make a mistake that I can't correct. Instead of starting right over from beginning, I can go retrieve from this section. So I know the maximum width that I can make it is 11.5, and I know that I want it to be 12.5 high. So I'm going to unlock it and make it 12.5 high. As you can see, it needs to be flipped. So I'm going to flip it this way and just check my measurements. I need 11.5 wide. It's a little bit over. There we go. That's how I want it to look. Let's go back and get that black t-shirt. I'm going to make this mandala white so I can see how it's going to look. And that's pretty. That's exactly how I want it to look. I can take these that I don't need and delete them. I'm ready to cut out this applique, so I'm just going to hide that t-shirt again. I don't want to cut it. I'll click Make It on Matte and continue. Anytime you're using iron-on, HTV, infusible ink, or even sublimation, you want to remember to mirror your image. So I'm going to cut out this applique, press it on my t-shirt. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you're going to make some t-shirts with this method. Please post pictures if you do. I'd love to see them. And thank you for watching.